good time zone artifacts. And a happy birthday to all of those around the world. Sound threw me off there for a second. Anyway, today is not looking great in terms of bitrate. Yesterday was pretty good. Today, not so much. But we gotta pull through. We gotta push through. Fight against fate. So that we can read Arknights. The most important thing. Truly. Wabam. No update on anything. I could update something, but I just haven't felt like it right now. I could eat 2 logos, for example.
Have you been doing well lately, Doctor?
I could do that. And yet, I haven't. New kernel. Oh boy, so let's just get into it. What happened last time? Well, the Exemplars leave Gibsonham, I remember the town's name, and head for the front lines under the guidance of a Chilby Asher, Bellington specifically. I think he's the one that usually shows up. Leading them to retrieve the Stone of Sword. The Stone of the Sword? The Stone of the Swords? I don't know. Which is the secondary half of the Sigh of Kings artifact, which can manipulate Oranginium, can neutralize Oranginium. It's actually a precursor artifact found in the depths of southern Sargon in ancient times and was reforged into a sword. It's good, it can neutralize Oranginium, but it's not like game changing, right? It's not the key to saving the world or anything. It can just turn it off a little bit briefly. And so they head to the front lines, trying to, avoiding artillery fire and all of that good stuff. They see, on one side of the battlefield, Dublin has shown up and are fighting the Sarkaz with an army of the dead, which is sick. The Dukes are on their battleships, Wellington specifically uses his battleship, the Gastrel, to charge the king of the Noxa here, challenging him to like one-on-one combat. And while that's going on, back at Lifebone, W inside that cave discovers that, yeah, it's a Confessarius cave that was the tomb for a bunch of heroes, including where Teresa's body was stored, and was revived by the Confessarius. And that the man in the cave, whose name I'm drawing a blank on, I know it was started with a Q, it was something, and then it ended with Choa, was a failed Confessarius experiment, I think along similar veins to what Nightingale is. This guy was supposed to be. And W blows the place up. The guy's pretty much invulnerable, but she blows the place up, retrieves ancient weaponry, which is how she becomes her alter form, which, again, I am happy. I do think I prefer her being just an ordinary person for her alter compared to if she was like secretly someone special. I do like that, but I do still think the reveal was underwhelming, and I'm surprised. I figured it would have something to do with her name, but that hasn't been brought up yet. Maybe that'll become a thing later on, but I really did think it would have to do with her name. Either way, Lifebone is under attack by Manfred's forces. Ascalon assassinates Manfred, but JK, it was Damazti in disguise the whole time. And Manfred is actually on the Lifebone fighting Hodor. And then Amia, Doctor, and Kaltzit and Logos locate the cave where the blood of the T-Kaz is located, guarded by Confessarius troops and chimeras. But JK, it was all the Damazti the whole time. They didn't just turn into the Confessarius soldiers, they turned into the whole room. It was all an illusion. The Damazti cluster and Kaltzit have a very interesting conversation about Kaltzit's identity and long life, and the origins of the Damazti cluster and the Sarkaz. Seems to be implying that the Damazti were like, I don't know, bacteria or something before being awoken into consciousness and becoming the Damazti. And Kaltzit, I think, very much implying that Kaltzit is Monster, and Monster will be Kaltzit. And that's where we left off. Response to saturation attacks. Opportunity is fleeting in the ever-changing tempo of war. We got a harder level this time. Howls. There's one more. Oh yeah, Solace showed up as well. Although she's just a Damazti cluster. I don't know at this point. I'm afraid it won't be that easy. My cute little king of Sarkaz, you've already broken 5 of my pets. Shall I take a guess at how long it will hold you will hold out yet? You gave life to those beings of witchcraft just to use them as expendable tools to hold me back. It did take me a little bit of time to create these chimeras. You're so cruel. You go around spreading that rash empathy everywhere, just like Teresa. When she lost to Teresis, the Regent thought it would be a good opportunity to retake the crown, but to our surprise, she had already passed it on to you before she died. Quite the well-conceived plot. Even with our eyes and ears everywhere, we were unable to detect it before it happened. Were you also fooled by her lies, Doctor?
I've got no idea what you're talking about. No siree.
Poor soul. You don't even remember a thing. You desperately serve this king of Sarkaz. Is it the former king's manipulation, or is it because you truly love her from the bottom of your heart?
I'm actually able to answer that question.
But enough of your sophistry.
My bond with Ami is nothing you can tamper with.
Quasar Tushtaj's ambition will bring even greater harm to the Sarkaz. Teresa would never allow him to usurp the crown. Such meaningless prattle, my dear little rabbit. Just ask anyone on the streets of Kazdal, and they'll tell you, for us, the departure of the King of Sarkaz is the gravest disaster. Oh right, spare me whatever you might say about fairness. The inheritance of the King of Sarkaz has always been filled with accidents, and Teresa's actions were no different from what we did. We all sought to make this power easier to control. Our regent believes more deeply in the connection between blood and soul.
Hiss.
The pain they're enduring. Are these emotions also instilled and manipulated by the witchcraft?
The chimera lashes at the crystals around it. Oranginium activation levels are increasing. Amia, the oranginium activation levels are changing extremely quickly.
Doctor, you don't need to worry. I can get accustomed to this Confessarius witchcraft. Over the last few years, I've been learning. I remember all the treatment methods Teresa taught me, as well as all the instructions I received from Dr. Kaltzit. I can feel the connection between me and the King of Sarkaz. It has nothing left. It has not left me. It just hurts a little bit, that's all. Utterly meaningless. Go on. That one is of no value anymore.
Howls. The crazed chimera rushes towards you. From Chernobog to Londinium, you've encountered all forms of foes, some of which defied your wildest imagination. But the enemy before you looks like the most formidable of all. It is the product of the Confessari's manipulation of blood, combined with the ultimate embodiment of Sarkaz's physical strength. Salus said that Sarkaz are much stronger than Countess's, but you know that even Amia's body is vastly stronger than yours. We are but a feeble human, and yet you still have an advantage. Something sets you aside from others, something that makes you one of a kind. Howls.
I won't let you.
The black lines of the Sarkaz King run through the chimera in front of you. But the claws of another chimera are about to reach your head. It's almost time. Take a small step back.
crystal clusters are violently manipulating the position, or multiplying at the position you stood just a moment ago. One after another, like flowers brought into full bloom through arts, sharp stones tear the ground and rock wall. The same is also true for the chimera closest to you. Its massive body crashes to the ground, oranginium dust kicked up in every direction, rubbing and colliding, exploding in a dazzling gold. Just as calculated, the surrounding oranginium rocks have reached a critical point of collapse, overcharged by witchcraft energies. Gosh, we're so smart. The mist-defined crystals rains down onto your mask. You gaze upon them, harboring no ill sentiment whatsoever. Oranginium will never harm you, and deep down you realize this once again. But the same is not true for others. An instinctive fear swirls in the eyes of both Amia and Salus. Amia approaches you steadfastly, while Salus shows a hint of hesitation. And it was in that moment, just one brief moment, bind. My hands and feet. Banshee. Salus is about to let out a scream, but the ensuing incantation preemptively seals our power. Your voice is grating to the ears. You spend too much time playing with pelts, while knowing nothing about weaving a stanza. Amia, it's time. Right. Salus. The black particles no longer revolve around you, but instead form into a sharp sword. You cannot help but look into the faces of the blue-haired confessares. Her emotions have almost faded away, as if already having made peace with the imminent, fatal blow. Okay, nice to see Amia using her sword again. I forget about it, honestly. Mechanically, I forget she has a guard form a lot. So this is it. The King of Sarkaz's verdict. You, don't misunderstand, I did everything I could to try to survive. I failed to recapture the King of Sarkaz for the leader, and made a grave mistake, which is why I was deceived by the cunning pests beside you. For the sake of this life, I should try to atone for my sins. Is that it? You are willing to sacrifice yourself for Quaesar Trutage's plot. He is our father, our progenitor. Disobedience is not an option. I truly hate Quaesar Shinag, and I hate you too. Quaesar Shinag is shining. Why do you choose to resist, Amia? Are we not just chimeras implanted with hope? Obstruct. The exploding blood mist is blocked by an invisible force. Shortly afterwards, the blood mist that obscured your view gradually dissipates and silence falls over the entire cave. She got away. It just blew up into into gore. Blood and gore just blew up, huh? Vampires, man. They're vampires. Vampire powers are crazy. But honestly, probably some of the coolest vampires in just fiction in general. I love that they're just living blood. It's not so much about consuming blood, it's that they are just blood. She galvanized the blood dripping from her wounds. She would have no means to fully resist my incantations. Such an action would only tear her further apart. As long as Salus is not killed completely, she will find a way to escape. You heard her say it herself. She sees life as precious. Do the first one. And where do you think she'll escape to?
Her mission is probably to safeguard the blood of Tikaz, right? Since she could not stop us at the fake altar, she would definitely return to the real one.
The way forward is clear now. Logos, I assume you've already left the tracker. I assume. I've met your expectations. Good job.
I understand your plan, Doctor, but it's far too risky. I can't approve of what you did then. If you try pulling a stunt like that again, I'll get angry.
I'll keep that in mind. But we don't have the luxury of time.
That's right. We need to pick up the pace.
Calcid stares at the object on the ground. You recognize it as the Confessorius mask left behind by Solace as she fled.
We underestimated Quisar Tushaj. Previously, he suddenly appeared before me in Shining, kidnapped Nightingale, and revealed his intent to usurp the king of Sarkaz. He has been lurking in the shadows for thousands of years for this moment. He would certainly not make any rash moves until this goal is accomplished. He wanted others to think that he was solely after the Black Crown.
Snatching the crown is not the end?
The king of Sarkaz is a neutral force. Whether it heralds the arrival of calamity or averts it depends on the wielder, which is most likely why Quishar Tushaj seeks the crown. He wants the authority to be vested within his own hands, to touch those secrets pounds, to seek even greater power from the point of origination.
Ananam, the first Orangenium.
Quisar Tushaj, Dukariel, and Teresis. While their ultimate goals may be different, they all converge upon the same destination. The Sarkaz have always been deeply influenced by Orangenium. I fear, however, that this influence is being, or that it is uncontrollably penetrating into a deeper level.
He's saying that there's someone even above Teresis?
Ow. I think I'll be fine. Your physical condition has stabilized. Logos says that the lingering traces of Confessori's witchcraft have already dissipated. Thank you. You have cracks in at least 3 rings. It's nothing serious. Just some battle damage, that's all. The rings aren't the problem, Amia. Since the battle for the command tower started, don't you think you've been taking on too many memories and emotions? Those aren't going away. It's your own psyche that is tearing these rings apart, and no instrument is enough to contain such a torrent of emotions. The rings can't, but I can. I'm not just an instrument. Those emotions were forced on me by someone else, yes, but I chose to reach out to them, to experience them, to feel them. If I said it wasn't painful, that'd be a lie. I don't want to deceive anyone else, or myself, by acting as if the pain doesn't exist. But I've pretty much gotten used to it. It's like wading through a swamp with a heavy load on your back. Amia, I'd recommend refraining or reinforcing those rings. No. To save even more people, I need even more power. I've told you again and again that this is what I wish for.
Doctor, how's Amia doing? Not ideal, but she's managing to stay in control. The solutions we have for all these problems are only stopgaps at best. That feeling of seeing yourself and everyone around you sliding into the abyss is no less harrowing than physical illness or pain. I can't change the fact that she's infected. If only I could cure her. I'll do the first one. I can't change the fact that she's infected. Ami is unwavering.
When Her Highness Teresa brought her before us for the very first time, she was but a child. I still remember her gaze lingering on the feathers on my horns. Well, those are feathers, huh? Okay. How did she react? Without any fear, only a friendly curiosity. Even I found myself somewhat shocked. I was planning on taking a step back like Scout and the others, but Amia actually came up to approach us herself. That was a time when a good chunk of Babel's core members were Sarkaz. We had horns of all shapes on our heads, some more imposing than others, and there were crystals all over our bodies. I had seen my fair share of Rimbilliton's countess caravans, so I knew that those timid, mild-mannered countesses often found it difficult to suppress their instinctive fear when it came face to face with the Sarkaz. Maybe that was just her nature, or she had an exceptional upbringing. Amia showed no sign of distinguishing between the Sarkaz and any other race. She naturally treated everyone with kindness. Which is why I was not surprised at all when I learned that Teresa chose Amia to be her successor. Even though you were a lord of the royal court, you were in support of Amia inheriting the title of King of Sarkaz. For me, that wasn't even the most difficult part of the decision. Doctor, I just ran into some old friends. Among them was one of my former Babel comrades, whom I killed with my own hands. What? After Her Highness Teresa's death, a rebellion broke out on Rose Island. A number of Babel members refused to give up on the war. They and a number of Sarkaz warriors decided that they ought to take revenge and return to Kazdal to reclaim power. But the more extreme among them, they proposed to kill Amia. They wanted to lash out against Kal'tsit. The team that once belonged to the King of Sarkaz turned completely away from Kazdal. They saw this as a despicable theft, an unforgivable betrayal, and Dr. Kal'tsit, along with the non-Sarkaz members of Babel, were seen as the culprits. All of them used to belong to Babel. All of them were warriors who followed Teresa. Many of them truly believed in Teresa, and were willing to lay down their lives for her and the Babel's ideals. The man I killed almost lost his life at the hands of a military commissioned caster. I saved him, only to take his life later on. That must have been a heavy toll on you. Logos, the Babel member, already made his choice. After the rebellion, the mercenaries and Sarkaz warriors pretty much all chose to leave. Among Babel's official rank and file, only a few decided to remain. Babel was no more, and Dr. Kal'tsit forbade anyone from mentioning the King of Sarkaz. What about you? Why did you stay with Rhodes Island? It's true that I did plan to return to the valley following Her Highness's death. Kazdal had lost its king, and nobody could predict its future. As the master of the Elegaic? You know what? We had this problem last time. Elegaic? Because it's elegy. Jaic, not Gaic. Jaic. As the master of the elegiac court, I could not run away from my duty to my home. But before I left, Scout pulled me aside and said that he and Misery were throwing a farewell party for me. I said that drinking was out of the question, and that I didn't want to ruin my new change of clothes, but turns out they wanted me to help paint. Paint? An interesting time to do renovation. They were preparing to change the landship's markings. Outcast was the one who convinced me to take the job. No idea what kind of messed up rumors Closure had poured into her head. She said Banshee incantations are magical, and if I were to take the new sign, Rhodes Island would surely have smooth future voyages. And that came from a Sancta. So, did you end up making the sign? That was Closure's job, actually. I warned my colleagues not to let her slack off. Pretty cool of you. The work was done in no time. After finishing, we all looked up at the sign together. Ace asked when I was leaving, so I gave them 2 dates. The first was when I'd be leaving the landship, that very same day. The next was 3 days later. 72 hours is the shortest time needed to make a round trip from the place the landship was docked at in the Valley of the Banshees. When Ace heard that, he immediately told Scout to give him 5 days worth of booze money. Scout wagered that I'd be back in the valley for more than a week. As for Misery, he pulled a welcome back ribbon out of his pocket and replaced the farewell banner that he had originally put up as a joke. You're all such good friends. I carry a lot of responsibility on my shoulders, and even if I don't want to set any of them down altogether, I still have to pick and choose what I prioritize. But I knew from the very beginning that I made the right call. Doctor, I have not questioned you since you returned from Chernobog. You have no memories of the past, so why did you choose to remain with Rose Island even now? Why are you willing to take immense risks and dive deep into the dangers ahead? Oh, there they are. Yeah, Lord Banshee, Mr. Logos, the road ahead has been blocked. The Doctor and the King of Sarkaz would like you to hurry up. A newly formed rift. This huge rift suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The blue-haired Confessarius went through it, so we're definitely on the right track, but right now... The Oranginium is reshaping the terrain with increased frequency and severity. I can feel it. I trust that you can as well, Amia.
The ground is trembling. The Sarkaz emotions are resonating violently with the Oranginium. Their rage is gathering, and it shakes this land like a storm.
When the blood of T-Kaz is used in tandem with Anomanom, the battlefield itself becomes the art circle of colossal proportions. The Oranginium arts of the rampaging Sarkaz are amplified, and in turn, that increased power promotes the spread of Oranginium. A similar situation took place thousands of years ago. The Sarkaz acquired witchcraft through Oranginium, and through witchcraft, Annam was awakened. In the centuries to follow, violent storms flayed the land, and great fissures cut deep into the earth. The Oranginium had almost completed its mission of devouring everything. You were able to stave off the end of days? Did you manage to stop things from getting worse? That is not something I can do, or should. The war ended before Oranginium could completely engulf the land. The Elders, the Ancients, and the Sarkaz all suffered losses so grievous that they were unable to carry out any more large-scale conquests. At least for the time being. War knows no end. Interesting.
Let's try to take up as little of our holiday time as possible.
Oh, I didn't notice the pits on this one.
I don't really want my holiday mood ruined, so hurry up and stop resisting arrest.
Or the, Well, the altar's right next to the objective, huh? That sucks.
War. A word I've
We'll counteract
not heard
it
in a
with the
long,
power
long
of
time.
A new
rice.
challenge. 策略の準備が整いましたわ。この毒はゆっくりとあなた方の命を蝕みますの。ポイズン。
Easy peasy so far.
Clear skies for Qingyin, rain clouds for Guilin.
No, there's a Chimera.
幻覚が見えるかしら。Start the operation. 幻覚が見えるかしら。
That guy got through. What?
我が密域が
Rude. I guess because Blue Poison's shooting the Chimera now.
Moving to designated.
この毒はゆっくりと
Can Swire kill a Chimera? Yes.
Poison. 幻覚が見えるかしら。
Can Swire kill 2 Chimeras? Can Swire kill 3 Chimeras?
Poison.
Well, she can't block 3 Chimeras, so I guess not.
Like a shooting star. That's what they say.
This will keep you quiet. I'm listening. Need speed to succeed.
幻覚が見えるかしら。
Nothing can mask the scent of despair.
Well, Shu's in a bit of a tough spot now. Ow. I don't think this is gonna help, but we'll try.
No one can see me.
幻覚が見えるか。 Feels bad to lose your target, doesn't it?
The sitter? Yeah, the
ゆっくりとあなた方の命を
what are they called?
蝕みますの。
Sodarom? Just sitting there,
Where do you wish to go?
flinging swords at people? That's pretty tough. If you don't have it. If we had a healer, it would have been fine, but yeah, it's kind of annoying. They're not actually that strong though, otherwise. "68 hours into the operation." Oh my gosh. War noises. Smoke and thick fog tug and tear at one another. The deck of the Gastrel is teeming with the seeds and withered branches of the Noxaires. 70% of the guns that once breached countless fortresses have now fallen silent. Its teeth almost completely pulled and its talons wetted smooth. The logical next step is for this prey to be dismantled and devoured. However, the Noxair's throne has also been pierced by dozens of chain-bladed port crackers. With just one move, the god of war could be pulled from his throne. You've proven to me that war marches on. 200 years ago, no Victorian would have come even this far. And you, Sarkaz, you've proven that you're not just some decrepit old shadow. You are indeed a threat to this great land. Perhaps my warship should have paid you a visit sooner, after I tore Gaul apart. You have been afforded no such opportunity. None of you.
I have to differentiate two, like, old guys talking now. A Confessorius transmission. Yes, in the direction of the blood of Tigaz. The Nakazahir king takes in the entirety of the battlefield. The enemy is trying to halt the storm. This might change the flow of battle, but it is hardly decisive. Even without catastrophe, his warriors are just as savage, just as unrelenting. Wellington is a worthy opponent, but the fetters of time will soon drag him away. He has no place among the future's wars. The true threat comes from elsewhere. It comes from behind.
The Aces and the Confessorius have reminded me that this is not the only battlefield.
Will you attend to it personally?
I've already received the wars promised to me by the Military Commission, present and future. The Noxahir must also fulfill their pact with the Regent. But before I leave, I must sow some seeds of decay on this battlefield for me to reap upon my return.
A thick haze rises. Upon the battlefield, only the throne remains. Is that the Nexahir running away?
No. In a real war, there is no retreat.
Wait, General, look at the throne. There's some kind of mist pouring from it. This isn't any ordinary mist. It's eating me from the inside. General, your body.
Soldier, status report on the Gastral.
Damage to the cabins in excess of 60%. Per your previous orders. Propulsion capabilities are largely intact as for the weapons.
Remove anything that's basically unusable and discard it on the spot. Roll out the Oranginium cannons from the lower deck.
Those are already
obsolete, but still enough to kill.
Yes, sir.
Notify the Gastral to retreat to G0, high ground according to the plan, and continue to consolidate defenses there. We will also follow that speed while ordering all current battle lines to fall back. Next, we'll send these Sarkaz over to Castor and go to end the handle. Any news from Shay?
The captain and Lady Eblana have captured most of the Nexahir altars in this area.
Yes, I saw. Her flames are very vivid.
Medic.
No need.
General.
A battle with no decisive conclusion will not be my last.
Damn, he's so cool. Alliance Fleet, command emergency transmission. 3 minutes left. We should be able to hear gunfire from our current position. Yes, Sir Grace. Wellington's column is not far from ours, ensuring we'll be able to provide mutual support. This battle will determine victorious fate. Indeed, if all goes well, then we'll be able to end this meaningless stalemate as quickly as possible. Those eyes truly burn with a lust for battle.
Do you think he has an ulterior motive? For 2 decades, my desk has been filled with intel related to him, along with its response proposals. As of late, these reports have been updating a dozen times a day. The true struggle begins after the Sarkaz have been dealt with. But at this moment, Wellington isn't the only one who needs a decisive victory. The time has come. The assault is about to commence, and he has never failed to be punctual. Ah, do you hear that? The Gastrel's full broadside. Such a different timber it is compared to our ships. But this is after this battle. Castor's name will shine alongside Wellington's in the annals of Victorian military history. Anomaly, 00 and 01. Repeat, 00 and 01. Drat, the comms have been cut. Your Grace, all signals from the Duke of Wellington have vanished. A group of Sarkaz suddenly emerged from the catastrophe and have engaged in the battle with our frontline troops. Oh boy. You thought he'd do more? I mean, he is just like a dude. He's just a good commander.
What the hell is Wellington doing? Acting all alone at a time like this? That vainglorious fool. Has he gone senile? Impossible. I do have a conjecture, though. Do you think he deceived Castor, or rather everyone? That doesn't make any sense. This is the Iron Duke we're talking about. Why would he abandon the other more easily manipulated dukes to go ally with Sarkaz? It's a game of prisoner's dilemma among the dukes. How would the Duke of Windermere, a warrior, treat her foes? She'd kill them all, and wipe the last speck of their blood across their seized spoils. Before he became first among the Victorian dukes, Wellington had already been leading troops for decades longer than your mother. As a noble among nobles, Castor was used to everyone playing by the same set of rules. After spending too long seated in front of the card table, she might have forgotten that some unreasonable people, such as us gangster types, have a penchant for flipping the entire table. Hypothetically, if the Iron Duke truly saw all of Victoria as enemies rather than competitors, he'd never even give Castor a single chip to bargain with.
Is that what's about to happen? I don't remember I don't think we've ever had him communicate with the Sarkaz, so. But we do know he wants to form Dublin, right? Or Tara, rather. Right, he's working with Dublin, but. Would he really trust the Sarkaz? I feel like I should give him more credit than that. He is supposed to be the Iron Duke. Catastrophe. The next wave of catastrophe struck far sooner than any of the other catastrophe messengers predicted. All of our comms have been knocked offline. How long for repairs? 15 minutes, no. We'll make it 10. Your Grace, you came back on Wellington's orders. Indeed. You're heavily injured. Who's responsible? Not any of the Iron Duke's men. He lost the Sarkaz. After the Gastrel opened fire, the Noxahir's advanced brigade emerged from the fog. They moved extremely quickly, using already deployed ulters to destroy a small warship. Abercorn's infantry had already engaged them for a spell. We expected the Gastrel to aid this ship, but he retreated instead. That's right, the Gastrel has turned back. All of Wellington's other ships are covering the flagship's retreats. Their casters have also changed targets, relying on the covering fire from our ships to secure their own vessel's retreat. What about Abercorn and Ashworth's ships? Completely exposed to the Noxahir's assault. They expected to show up as support, but now they find themselves facing enemies head-on. Wellington's ships have completely blocked off retreat. He's even trying to push Abercorn and the others towards the front lines. It won't be long until the remaining line's forces are wiped out and become sustenance for the Noxahirs. Your race, the Alliance forces dispatched the heart of the battle have collapsed, and the Sarkaz will soon turn to the rear where we're situated. The plan to cut off and encircle the Sarkaz has failed. We're at a risk of getting surrounded ourselves. At risk? No, it's already too late. What's enveloping us is much more than catastrophe. Noxahirs! The signal's back online, and we've run into a large contingent of Noxahirs. No, it's the entire army. There's another force approaching from the right. Is that the second army? They've already begun fighting. The catastrophe's amplifying the Noxahir's witchcraft. The Orange Indian response is spiking sharply. Your Grace, watch yourself. Thinks he can win on his own? Maybe. At this point, I would assume what he thinks he's doing is taking out everybody at once, right? Having Victoria and Sarkaz just kill each other, and he can just wipe up the rest with the help of Ablana and her army of the dead, which like a pretty good army to have. His own flagship is largely destroyed as well, which, I mean, in that regard, kind of fair to retreat, but I don't think that's why that's the only reason why he's doing it. Troops on the battlefield still able to receive any feeble signals at all simultaneously are sent a staticky message. The Glorious has been confirmed, destroyed. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Duke of Castor. Uh-oh. Vina remembers the first time she saw a high-speed battleship. It was sitting on her father's desk. A small-scale model, only as long as an adult's forearm. Its crystal flagpole would fall over with just a little poke. Her father pushed her touchy-feely hands away, telling her that high-speed battleships are akin to metallic monsters that conquer the land. They, like the indomitable city of Londinium, were the crowning jewels of Victoria's industrial technology. Alexandrina, when you are older, I will take you aboard the newest battleship. You will see for yourself. Many years later, when Vina did in fact see one, it was only upon the battlefield. Be it Windermere's, Castor's, or Wellington's warships, they were so majestic that the people standing beneath them were mere specks in comparison. But at this moment, the broken warship in the palm of the colossal Oranginian wave before her seems to have reverted to the tiny toy she played with her, in her childhood. Of course, that being said, we know that he confronted the Noxahir king, right? Saw him leave. Maybe he's like, yeah, we need to get out of here because if we don't, we're going to be like the Duke of Castor over there. Like, what's about to happen, like, is going to destroy everyone. So if we can pull out in time, at least. You know, he is a smart tactician, so maybe he predicted that would happen. That Oranginian wave crushed the Glorious into pieces. My eardrums are still aching.
The sound of a warship being destroyed. I doubt there's anyone nearby who didn't hear it. The Duke driving that huge thing is dead. Just like that. Hey, Doctor. You better not shit yourself. You're the one whose hands are shaking. You've been quiet this whole time, Doctor. What's on your mind? They made an example of the Duke of Castor at this critical juncture. The Sarkaz intentions are all too clear. What might that be? A warning? No, a message. A message that the Sarkaz are about to launch an all-out attack. Inform all comrades and prepare for the next assault. The Duke of Castor is not dead. Was that a horn? I thought that would be a Trilby Asher. Yeah, technically the Duke of Castor can't be dead because of the rides to Lake Silbina Herza, right? Unless that was a new Duke. Horn, our morale's completely shot right now. That was quite the commotion just now. Nobody's ever seen anything like that before, including us. But the captain's already sent out a bunch of old vets to tag along with you and calm the fresh greens. Looks like it's been working out. Bagpipe, don't hold them to our standards, even if you're just doing it subconsciously. The exemplars just happen to be a particularly special case. Hi, got it, Captain. Harn, you just said that the Duke of Castor's still alive. You seem quite certain about that. Take a look. The muzzles of the glorious cannons have been locked on since the beginning. Huh? There might be countless criticisms about Victoria's Grand Dukes, but holding that position for decades is no easy feat. Since the Glorious has not ceased its resistance, that means the Duke of Castor has not perished. As for the actual situation, maybe that's something a Trilby Asher can clear up for us. He left the moment the Glorious started to run into trouble. He might be in the vicinity trying to get in contact with the Glorious to figure out what's actually going on. But from what he told us, the Stone of the Sword we're looking for is also right there. Siege, what's our next move? We just heard back from the outpost. The Glorious has been completely surrounded by the Royal Court's blitz attack, and the Duke of Wellington has suddenly withdrawn his forces. The situation in the surrounding areas has rapidly deteriorated. Vina, I'm afraid that we'll have to halt our march at once.
Job's done. Be sure to rest up now.
You know, it does show off the impressiveness of the battleships. This is like the third time in this episode alone that a battleship has been quote-unquote destroyed, but then still hangs on. Still firing their cannons, not giving up. Another... oh no, not a tutorial, I don't think. Just a special mission. From the light, unwavering faith is the blade that will cut through the darkness and slay despair. Got the Glasgow gang.
All hands! You are not to change your route without authorization. Pass through the Gastrel's covering bombardment area post haste. Cover the general's return to the ship. Shells rain down on both sides of the mobile force that is moving at full speed. Smoke obscures their whereabouts, and withering artillery fire crushes the Sarkaz troops, collapsing upon them. Wait, 200 meters ahead, I found something strange belonging to those Noxahirs. The aura emanating from that stone, or that throne, seems to be letting those damn devils to replenish their ranks faster. They're closing in fast. They're trying to intercept us. General, do we need a flank guard to continue the diversion? No. Commander, where? Run them over. Yes, sir. Labored gasps. Amidst the smoke, silent figures in white robes raise their longswords, sundering the artillery fire falling upon them. They disappear into the plumes of smoke and dust kicked up by the explosions. Prepare to intercept the enemy. 5, 4, 3, 2. Don't disappoint me. 1. Those guys are raining fire. Not all death is alike, Sarkaz. Purple flames wreathe the Duke of Wellington's entire mobile unit, and a rising pillar of flame carves out a completely safe domain on the battlefield, a sanctuary brought by the flames of death. You've more than proven your trustworthiness, Lady Oblana. And I, too, admire your duel against death. However, your injuries are still severe, and the Noxahir's deathly aura still eats away at your body. Your uniform may hide your injuries, but not from me. Take my hand, Your Grace. You should not be riding these rickety vehicles. Allow me to personally escort you back to the Gastrel. It's just a flesh wound. The Duke, who overcame death, ignores the Draco's outstretched hand, his body remaining upright with the help of his cane. Pain, little more than that. Lady Oblana, your flames still burn a bit too hot. Make an opening in this wall of flame and I will lead the way. Don't worry, this cane has accompanied me through many dreadful battlefields. I will stand atop the Gastrel's bow and await Victoria's call for help. As you wish, my ever-faithful lord. If your body can no longer sustain your ambition, then I shall rekindle your heart with my flames. Even death shall not be no obstacle for your march. We are Tara. We shall stand upon the glorious place, the most glorious place in this land. Together, we shall set this battlefield alight. Warning, warning. Danger to the hull is in excess, or damage to the hull is in excess of 65%. Navigation system offline, propulsion system offline. Activate backup power supply. The engine room has been damaged, and there's a serious leakage of oranginium fuel. At 2:34, the Frederick was struck by 3 witchcraft spells simultaneously, paralyzing its propulsion system. The combat zone is heavily contaminated by witchcraft. The 3 supporting frigates are unable to approach and currently dispatching infantry. The 2nd defensive line has incurred a fierce assault. The 9th Battalion Armored Corps is currently holding back the Noxahir infantry. Lieutenant Colonel Blake and Major Morning have been slain. Captain Seymour is currently in command. The Excelsior has discovered an approaching squad of Noxahir casters. We have lost contact with the Intrepid, with no specific coordinates identified. Duke Godwin's 3 dreadnoughts are approaching full speed to provide support. Duke Abercorn and Duke Ashworth's assault battle groups are responding to the call for help. Oranginium activity is also rampant. That is off the charts. What the hell is that? Is the Oranginium eating our ship? Your Grace, the situation is changing extremely quick. The surviving Trilby Ashers have already been sent out, and the news they've brought back has been compiled here. Our men are dying out there, and the Noxahirs are turning the entire battlefield into a meat grinder. How many of us are still left? Well, less than a third. Your Grace should retreat. Our flagship still retains its offensive capabilities. Even in this condition, it should at least be able to clear a way for you. I can't leave. Aileen spread the word that I will be staying on the Glory. Or spread the word that I will be staying on the Glory, right? Use whatever means you have at your disposal. If I abandon the front lines, the defensive line will inevitably be routed. Victory will be yet another step further away from Victoria. What would the other soldiers think of us? That yet another Duke has abandoned them? When this battle is over, our soldiers must also remember what price I paid for this victory. I will continue to draw the Noxier's fire. The other Dukes will surely come to my aid. They understand exactly what is and is not important at this current moment. Besides, my elite forces are all here. You are all the support I need. Nothing more needs to be said. Watch out, Your Grace. We'll start by clearing out this cabin. Our march towards victory begins from this stronghold. Your Grace? As you command. And then we must get our hands on the Sigh of Kings. The Stone of the Sword is still here, undamaged. That is our best opportunity for the counterattack. Is the Trilby Asher who's been in contact with our lovely Vina still alive? Our communication channels are back online now. Excellent. Get in touch with him. I have new orders for him. There's no end to them. Shells. Where are the shells, Clark? Dead. They're all dead. Vina, I've rescued another soldier. The enemy line up ahead is going to be hard to handle. Are you sure you want to keep pushing forward? Activating the Realm Blade is the best option we have for turning the tides of this battle. We've already come this far, and this is something only we can do. Who are you? Where are the exemplars? The exemplars. Use your head, soldier. Don't charge right up to the enemy. So much blood or apathy in the suppressants. Damn it. We ran out a while ago. Hang in there a bit longer, and don't move. There's a chance the orange neon crystals will puncture your lungs. Doesn't matter anymore. What? Doctor, sir, just about all of our men are dead. Clark was the second to last one. See that hand over there by your feet? That's all that's left of him. Not Clark. What can I do? Your name? Patel. Richard Patel.
Private Patel. From your badge, I see that you were assigned to the 9th Battalion Armored Corps and your commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Blake. If I recall correctly, your company's mission is to protect Duke Castor's flagship.
Who are you? Which unit are you from?
Delphine from the Exemplars. I'm just like you. I despise those enemies. They took everything from me. But I still remember my mission. I'm here to aid you, Private Patel.
Aid me? Duke Windermere is dead. I don't know if our esteemed Duke is still with us. And then there's the Iron Duke, that bloody codger, Wellington. He deserted the battlefield. What are you people even doing here? What hope do we have for victory?
Delphine subconsciously glances over at Vina, who stands not far away at the Sigh of Kings strapped to her back.
Even if the Grand Dukes give up, we will not.
Is that so? He's not going to last much longer. Oh shit, hurry up and spread out. He'll implode at any moment. We won't have time to deal with him.
Delphine sees the soldier's bloodshot eyes. There's determination and desire burning within them.
Listen up, exemplars. There's a contingent of Noxahirs up ahead. Put me into that tank over there.
Wait, Delphine, don't go near him. I can handle this. Very well. Allow me to help you, Private Patel. If this is your last wish.
Thank you. The battlefield tank hurtles toward the Sarkaz troops. Many of the exemplars had no idea what was going on until they heard the one last battle cry of an ordinary soldier gave using his life.
We will record all you've accomplished here today. Each and every member of the Duke of Castor's 9th Battalion Armored Corps was a good soldier, ready to defend the glorious and Victoria herself with their lives.
Oh wait, what's going on? The dead are standing up.
No, it's not the dead that are standing up there.
The withered branches, twigs sprout from the fallen bodies of the Naxahir warriors, extending in every direction, burrowing back towards the fog where the scent of rot and decay is strongest. A figure rises from the fog and quickly approaches.
Get back, Delphine.
A dull growl. Ugh. Luckily, it'll take more than that to kill me off. If we die here, our lives will be sucked up by the Naxahir altars, and we'll turn into their food.
Does that mean Private Patel's last wish was in vain? If these enemies cannot even be defeated by death?
No, Delphine. He was able to slay this squad of Naxahirs. However,
that monster's clearly weakened and trying to feed off death. Take advantage of this opportunity and destroy the target. I'll cover you. Bagpipe, mark my flank. Private Patel's wish will not be in vain. We'll charge on through the opening he created. Everyone, move it. Don't hesitate. Slow down for a second and the whole situation might spiral out of control. What are you still standing there for? You don't tell me you're choosing now of all times to get cold feet.
getting cold feet? No, I just need to stay behind for the time being to fulfill my duty. Your Highness, Alexandrina, please don't glare at me like that. I really do have urgent business to attend to. The Duke has just given me her latest orders. The deal is off. You are to evacuate with the Eye of Kings and await her further instructions. You will not be able to reach the Stone of the Sword, and this key must not fall into Sarkaz's hands. If necessary, special measures can be employed to ensure the safety of the Eye of Kings.
How did I see this coming?
There's no need to be so wary of me. I have been completely forthcoming when it comes to the Duke's orders. I know you're loath to abandon your quest for the Stone of Sword, but count me in. My highest priority remains to ensure the safety of the Duke. But at a time like this, where am I supposed to find allies more trustworthy than the Exemplars? God, what a guy.
Your Duke's not going to be happy with your decision.
Would you look at that? We've already switched sides. Look at it this way. I'm outnumbered here, and I don't have any way of dealing with all of you. Go, Your Royal Highness. I hope your plan is a complete one.
Don't worry. My dear aunt won't have anything to worry about. I know what I have to do.
Venus plans are never complicated, and that has proven surprisingly effective on this chaotic battlefield. Everyone in the Exemplars knows exactly what they're fighting for. No matter how the war forces them apart, in the end, those who survive will gather to lift the glass of victory. The plan is straightforward. Delphine, you're in charge of commanding the periphery and pinning down the Sarkaz laying siege to the Glorious. Chip away at them and avoid direct engagements.
Can you still walk?
I don't think so.
And grab onto my back. I've moved you to safety. Well, there's nowhere safe near anymore. But let's get behind that piece of destroyed warship. Hide behind there for the time being.
Oh, no, don't worry about us right now. The Eye of Kings takes the highest priority.
Don't be daft. Venus team knows what to do with the Sigh of Kings. Our mission right now is to contain the enemy and siphon off some of their firepower.
Delphine's really short, though. So is that guy, like, dragging on the ground?
Lieutenant, I need medical assistance over here. Roger. Fitz, where are you from?
Easton.
I've been there before. They've got good leather. There's an open wound on the leg with visible puncturing. Stop the bleeding first. Do you have pain anywhere else other than the wound?
No, I'm just a bit tired, that's all.
Do you have anyone on your mind right now, Fitz?
Barry, from across the street. He still owes me.
Don't say it, just keep repeating it in your heart. Just repeat it to yourself over and over. And go back home alive and tell him yourself. A patient is conscious and has no fractures, internal bleeding or acute infection. Alright, the wound has been cleared. I will now bound engines and apply anti-inflammatories. You should be fine with some rest. You did well, Delphine. Lieutenant, do you ever think about wanting to rewind time to the day our ship was raided? If we can win, sure. I'm of the same mind. Because of my mistakes, my incompetence, we were miserably defeated by the Sarkaz. I don't want that to happen again today. Lieutenant, please, take Fitz back. I'm still needed here.
What about us, Vina? Travel lightly, quickly break through the encirclement, and go for the pedestal. Horn, bagpipe, we're counting on you to cover our flank. You heard that? Hannah, Morgan, Dogda? We're gonna charge forward and never look back. Sounds like we're rushing straight into a fight for our lives. I'm getting excited already. Shut it already, Hannah.
This bunker's not gonna hold. Where's the location of the next bunker? The strange man in the hat's already found it for us. Keep your eyes peeled for his signal.
There, soldiers up there. Our caster's guards. We're almost there.
The bombardment is thinning out. Delphine's forces have managed to draw away a large chunk of their firepower. I can see the pedestal clearly now. Get down. Hold on. That attack just now wasn't from the Sarkaz. Captain, it's the Glorious!
The Glorious has noticed us. Its guns are clearing the way for us.
Pounce on it. Press onward.
They continue to charge into the Tempest, to where the artillery fire converges, to where their enemies are. Hammer smashes into bone and sword cleaves through flesh. Those standing shoulder to shoulder are getting heavier injuries as they no longer bother to wipe the blood from their faces. They continue pressing forward. No matter how perilous, they never stop. The Glorious is right there in front of them, and Vina can already hear the roar of the battle coming from above.
Hold on a bit longer. We're about to break through.
Indistinct Sarkaz language. You shall not pass. What's going on? I've lost all sensation in the arm holding my hammer. Vina! The Sigh of Kings! The Sigh of Kings has been knocked flying! After it! The Sigh of Kings, that's the sword? But I had it on my back. Indistinct Sarkaz language. Death. The final end. Damn it, Vina, stand up! Help her, bagpipe, cover my back. I need to reload. I can block their blades, bloody hell. Why can't I run any faster? A dark shadow. Something is approaching me. Vina! Victoria! 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 Vina could never forget that voice, even if she could no longer make out all the information it contains. But her intuition tells her that it is a name that is associated with her entire life. Oh snap. The ground shatters, and along with it, 3 mobile art altars.
White vapor erupts and a fiery red blade emerges. Look, a Steam Knight! A Steam Knight stands with us! Victoria's glory has returned, he stands with us! Follow him into battle! Slay them, slay every last Sarkaz! Glory to Victoria! That's a good morale boost. Muffled gushing sound. Slash, pierce, charge. The suit of armor fights valiantly and ferociously. The path behind him is soon littered with Sarkaz corpses and the fragments of shattered altars. Witchcraft missiles fall at his feet. Crossbow bolts fly towards him, blades slash at his body. But he never stops. He cleaves apart the next enemy, sweeping them away along with any traces they left on him. A Steam Knight still lives. That's right. We saw him inside the city. But why is he here now? He came for the sword. Vina! I can still fight, but the sword is gone. I see the side of Kings. It's lying on top of a pile of bodies in the combat zone. I'll retrieve it for you. Just as you said, pounce onto it and press onwards. Don't look back. I promise you that the sword will appear when it is needed. Vina! I will keep going. Cover me. She clenches the hammer in her hands and shrugging off all doubt and hesitation. She has placed her trust not just in her partners, but also in people who she had never trusted before. No, she placed her trust in all of Victoria. The Victoria she believes in. Run, faster, almost there. Ah! Don't force it. Get hit again and you're a goner. The mobile altar. It stopped. Then who fired that shot? One of our own tanks? Vina, we've connected to the Duke of Fife's suit of armor. He's just located Captain Seymour. He's still alive. More troops are on their way to join us. We'll handle all those altars that are flying around. Great news. Let's keep moving. Don't you dare get in our way. We've used up the last of our ammunition. That means it's come down to some good old CQC. We're a master of CQC. Roger that, Captain. Pretty nostalgic, right? Reminds me of our academy days. Let's see how these Sarkaz like our technique. Let them try to get past us. A sword of stone is right ahead, with that corrosive fog. Your Royal Highness, my colleagues have secured the Glorious. The next time our cooperation is needed, the exemplars will hear from this trilby once more. Finally, allow me to use my Orangenium arts, as well as a little bit of authority to light your way. A ray of green light cuts through the dense fog of decay. Deep within the storm, the stone of the sword radiates with light. Oh right, the sword. After thinking things through, one really should not disobey the Duke's orders. But I also made a promise to you, Your Royal Highness. That's quite a pickle. Alright then, catch. A silver light streaks across the battlefield, piercing through the fog. The Sigh of Kings, a blade so common that it does not attract the attention of soldiers on either side of the battlefield. I've got it.
Don't turn back now, Siege. This is the final stretch. Don't worry about me, Captain. Go with them.
The storm rises from the battlefield, but the white wolf has already leapt up. This is an awesome picture. Aim fire, a procedure she knows by heart.
Take it, Siege.
The long sword left her hand, cutting through the air as countless eyes followed its path. Vina never looks back. She simply continues running, carefully listening to every last sound. Swoosh. The sound of metal vibrating through the air, the sound of air being cut apart by a sharp object. She forcefully throws down the hammer in her hands. Its massive head lodges into the cliffside, creating a tiny foothold for her. She steps on it and leaps, and when she extends her hand, the Side of Kings has already found its way into her palm.
Indra Morgan, remember now? Remember how we used to chuck Molotov cocktails down the chimneys of the nobles?
Yeah, we'd stand on each other's shoulders.
But this time I'm running ahead first.
The oranginium beneath her feet feels alive. Unlike any wall or mountain she's ever traversed before. How much further? How much longer will it be until the dark clouds disperse and the war draws its last breath? She fled Londinium to the land beyond its walls. Then from there she returned. How much farther must she go before she returns to her peaceful homeland and to the people she loves? Vina does not know, but at least the stone of the sword is right before her eyes. She extricates her hammer with all her might. She knows what she must do. She leaps up, hammer and sword held high in her hands, glimmering in the sunlight. We got horn too. Backfight. What would really make this if Trilby Asher showed up?
The Sarkaz are coming, Siege.
障害をすべてなぎ払うのが嵐の務め。戦場に出たから死ぬ覚悟を決めろ。You bastard! 私の武器は誰にでも扱えるわけではない。Nothing can stop me.
Which character is still speaking Japanese? Don't they all have English voice lines? Weird.
For Victoria! You're dead, mate!
Well, Dog is dead. Well, Bagpipe and Indra are dead. Well, Morgan's dead.
Bagpipe. All hands. We've almost reached the stone of the sword.
Heavy gushing.
貴様の生死は私が決める。
Oh snap. Allied Steam Knight? That's pretty good too, I'll take it.
Ravina, don't hesitate. Right now, we have a chance. The only one we'll get.
Siege leaps up. The edge of the stone of the sword cuts her palm and slips away. The Oranginium mountain quakes, almost flinging her from it. Just one step further, one more miracle. The knight who was Victoria never forgot his duty. He streaked across the sky, picking up the golden lion who held the realm blade. A dull sound came from the bloodied suit of armor.
Glorious Victoria!
The stone lies just ahead. The waves of Oranginium rise and fall. Countless crystal shards surround her. But the one in the eye of the storm will not waver, not anymore. For the Glasgow gang. For Londinium. For all who died. And for all who live. The Golden Lion roars at the storm. The Sigh of Kings plunges down. The sword and its stone become one. There is an explosion of golden light. It falls on the crystals and on her, shining towards heaven and earth. The golden radiance pierces the red demonic eye, tearing a hole in the cushion of death above. A miracle has happened. A legend has returned. The hero's sword cleaved through catastrophe, bringing golden hope that fell upon the eyes of every Victorian on the battlefield. It's the same gold from the title. Londinium will yield to no storm. As long as they have the Sigh of Kings, there is no foe they cannot overcome. Victoria. Victoria. The Exemplars. The Exemplars. Vina! Vina! The cries form a great wave, lifting up the exhausted hero. Siege looks up at the Sigh of Kings. The sword in its stone looks entirely ordinary, as though it was no more than a key. She knows more than ever that the sword has never granted anyone power, nor has she suddenly become one of the heroes of legend. She stands there. She stands here now because of the countless eyes that have witnessed her, the countless hands that have lifted her up. A legend is bestowed by the people. The miracle you hold already existed before Lugal Sarkaz and I met. In the depths of the Golden Sands, explorers who should have been devoured by catastrophes found safe haven because of this relic. The relic was forged into a treasured blade, and I carried it along with the young Shah into the endless deserts. Or sands. I still remember what he said, as he rested against my mane beneath the stars. It shall have a name, but that name is not mine to give. Then, as legends go, he took up the blade and slew the Poltergeist King. He never returned. Nobody in the land was worthy of giving that sword a name, but a legend was nevertheless born. Who was the Poltergeist King? The hero's sword. It passed through the hands of many kings until, at long last, the lion with hair as bright as the sun used it to sever the red dragon's head. That story you are already familiar with, Vina. Beneath the gleaming blade, the lion and the dragon ultimately stood side by side and swore an oath to lift the crown together. Alas, the hero's sword would slay no more, but would instead be regarded as the highest authority. It has endured loss and betrayal, yet its brilliance as a symbol of authority has never dimmed. As Lugal Shargus said, "You have all sung of it from generation to generation using the name it was given, the Sigh of Kings. No matter how many times it is reforged, craftsmen will always be able to hear the sigh from within the sword. They say that it is the king sighing, lamenting that the glorious empire no longer has enemies worth conquering. But it was never the kings who were sighing, but rather the blade itself, a miracle, dug out from the golden sands more than a millennium ago. Still, they had the right to give meaning to this sword." Vina, legends are never told by the heroes themselves. But you continued this story. Perhaps in 20 years the children will sing. Alexandrina, the sword of Victoria, the king who banished the Sarkaz tyrant. But is this the story you want to hear? And by whose right do you wield this sword? The kings, the heroes, the peoples? Gawain. Gotcha, Vina. You did it, Vina. The enemy forces encircled in the Glorious are retreating before the Duke's forces. Vina, hang in there. We'll catch up with you as soon enough. The other Duke's troops have heard the news of the Duke of Castor and are now willing to work together with the Exemplars. At least, they settled before the fighting engulfed Londinium. Waves of cheering pour through the communicator, each louder than the rest. But the battle continues. The Sigh of Kings is sheathed within the stone of the sword. This is not the end, but merely the beginning. The Steam Knight is helping us. No, I'd say he only came for the Realm Blade. Siege's gaze falls on the devastated battlefield where the Steam Knight went on its warpath. She looks for the other shadow, but it is nowhere to be found. Siege grips her hammer tightly and stands before her companions, just like she had done so many times before. Let's continue the fight, until the moment of victory actually arrives. The Realm Blade is now active. Looking up from here, that golden pillar of light is truly breathtaking. 2 decades ago, I first saw the prototype of our Stone of the Sword in the workshop, and I've been waiting for this moment ever since. The light that thunders catastrophe is no longer a myth, or a heroic tale in alleyways. Can you envision it beneath the shade of this light? Our people will no longer need to live in fear of catastrophe. Our city will be eternally glorious. Back then, nobody could have imagined that it would ever be used for this purpose. That it would be used in a war started by those barbaric devils in a ravaged land outside Londinium's gate. And it was done by the hands of my dear brother's orphan, with the aid of the Exemplars. For decades, the pedestal has been integral to our strategy in Victoria. What should have become Castor's triumph is now part of the legacy of the former king's heir. Your Grace, we are sorry for betraying your expectations. You call it betrayal. No. The Glorious was saved and Victoria was saved. What is there for me to be disappointed about? The miracle blooming on the battlefield. I can even hear my own guards whispering these words. I believe your Sir Suffolk would share the same opinion, no? The poet would be acting in accordance with military protocol and retreating with the Realm Blade. I will make sure of this. There is no rush. Whether this is a dereliction of duty or a show of loyalty, I shall decide for myself later. What's happened has happened. There's no need to worry about the Realm Blade's fate for now. At last, or at least, this isn't necessarily a bad thing either. Connect to the Exemplar's internal communication channel. Use the Alliance line. Your Grace, there's a risk of being tapped. Talk less and do your job. Very well. Whose communication frequency is this? I didn't turn it on. Well done, Exemplars. Well, stuff me. Your Grace, I thought you'd at least want to meet me in person. Indeed, arrangements for that meeting have already been made. But after the Realm Blade's activation, all intel on the battlefield flowed to me once again. Opportunities on the battlefield are fleeting, and I was too preoccupied to make use of it. Siege, what you have accomplished is nothing short of a miracle. I will reevaluate the role that the Exemplars could play in this war. With all due respect, I do not recall opening our communication channels to you. As of right now, assume your channels are open to all of Victoria's Alliance forces. They will begin their counterattack by retaking Silver Rock Bluffs. Are the Exemplars willing to work with us to create a miracle? Under the banner of the Dukes? No, the Exemplars cannot and will not be affiliated with any of the ducal forces, this much I can assure you. You must operate as a heroic independent unit. Alexandrina, you will come to know what the Exemplars mean to Victoria. For now, we undoubtedly stand on the same side. Take count of your troops, it's time to go.
That golden light. The Sigh of Kings has taken effect. Siege and the Exemplars have done it.
The situation on the battlefield will finally stabilize. No longer afflicted by the extreme Orangenium dense environment, Victoria's forces will be free to display their full potential. Military Commission's defeat on the main battlefield is inevitable. Even if there are still disputes among the Dukes, the overall strength and sustained combat capability of the Victorian army far eclipses what the Sarkaz can muster. Additionally, Victoria just enjoyed a massive morale boost. It won't be long until the scales of victory tip towards Victoria.
Yes.
Amia, Teresis must have foreseen this when he decided to start this war and fulfilled the trenches with a foreign land of a foreign land with Sarkaz lives.
I know, Dr. Calcit. But the more this happens, the more I find myself thinking, what kind of future are they hoping for with so many people thrown away for nothing?
Whatever that might be. Calcit looks up into the crimson sky. The storm has not completely halted. The Orangenium dust swirling in the inverted airflow was only temporarily driven back by the Sigh of Kings, and now rages even more violently than before. Perhaps they all feel the same way, exhausted just from trying to avert the advent of disaster. We are only one step from the abyss. Return from whence you came.
On the other side of the canyon, is that a crystal cluster that's glowing? Logos.
No matter how many tricks they have up their sleeves, they cannot conceal the blood. I have removed the Confessori's illusions. Once we go over there, we'll find the real altar. The truth is within reach. However, the shadow is also approaching. It's cold, way too cold. You feel the temperature abruptly change again. Before you know it, you are surrounded by once more by a thick swamp-like fog.
Sudaram, how are there this many?
Because the king's here. This is the last line of defense in front of the true altar. This is where Nesh Shalem intends to stop us. He does not want us to get any closer. The lament of the dead fills the air above the battlefield. The Noxahir's power is almost at its very peak. I have seen the dark clouds of death hanging on the horizon. If the scorching sun no longer shines, I shall cast a light that pierces the fog here. We will cross over to the other side. Find Salus and destroy the blood of Tikaz. May the wails of the dead find some quiescence. Or quiescence. Probably is actually how it should be pronounced. Logos lifts his hand and points at the other side of the canyon. The congealing mist parts once more. Fairy. Brief yet powerful. Logos seems to both be describing a physical action and uttering an incantation at once. Oranginium crystals surge like waves in front of you, stretching all the way to the other side of the canyon until they form a narrow but stable bridge. The Noxahir King will come for us, and someone has to hold him back. I will stay behind.
Logos, just you alone.
Amia, do you still have the package I left with you before? Please give it back to me.
Of course, but...
Good. With this, there won't be any problems. Now go. Death is pursuing you. You run with all your might. Maybe it's Amia who's pulling you, Monster who's dragging you along, or Logos who's pushing you ahead with his incantation. You hardly even feel your feet touching the ground, but it is as if 1,000 bony hands are growing from the mist, trying to latch onto your ankles. But the aura of decay fails to reach you in the end. A formless barrier envelops your body, keeping the haze at bay. Now that Logos' incantations is taking effect, in this moment the Banshee's curse feels just so warm and gentle. You hear something collapsing, and look in its direction. The bridge has disappeared just as quickly and cleanly as when it appeared. The thick fog once again teems forth impatient. You search for that familiar figure, but perhaps because he is too far, or perhaps because the fog is too thick, you cannot see anything at all. I'm a bit worried. Doctor, this is the decision that Elite Operator Logos made. He has the right to make his own tactical judgments based upon the situation at hand. He believes that it would be most beneficial for us to head to the real altar while he faces the Noxahirs head on. Answer me, Doctor. Do you trust him? Do you trust Elite Operator Logos? I trust him. Then you should also trust that he will regroup with us when we are in need. I understand your desire, Scion of Decay. But death should not be so cacophonous. Quiet. You're too loud. The whistle pierces through the fog, the incantation spreading in ripples. Nothing needs to be spoken, nothing needs to be written. The concealed dead have nowhere to hide. The Sudaram's piercing shrieks form into a longsword that shuttles through the fog. The words from the whistle quiver, and the Banshee's song resounds. Within the ancient bloodlines of the Sarkaz, in a valley choked with oranginium amidst the emanations of countless people who fell in battle. Flaming shells and witchcraft imbued with rounds intertwine in the skies above the battlefield. A high-speed battleship crashes into a witchcraft bastion. A small number of Victorian soldiers charge headfirst into an entire squad of Noxahirs. The song grows louder and clearer. When that song reaches its climax, the Noxihir soldiers fall into silence and stop attacking one after another, like motionless flags. They no longer hunt. At last, death has returned to the land. War comes to answer your song. The withered branches retreat in unison. They coil. They lie down, returning once more to their long-deceased forms. The most hideous and ancient among them seem to be struggling unwillingly, finally twisting into a scepter. The tip of the scepter strikes the ground, and a figure emerges from the depths of the dense fog. Hey, Fanel, the master of the elegiac court. You chose to stay behind and face me alone. The corners of his clothes flutter as the fog disperses. The Sudaram's white robes are scattered across the dense white hills of withered branches. Long swords lie fallen and shattered like a grass in a forest. The young banshee sits sideways atop the hill, his blood-stained fingers plucking at the bone whistle in front of his lips. Gentle, melodious. How do these people keep changing clothes? Logos, where did you get that from? No, Neshalim. There is no master here. Only Logos, the lead operator of Rhodes Island, dressed to greet our guests. I've crafted this opus upon death's motif, and I dedicate it to you. They know magic. He just has clothes change incantation. As for surprise, that's enough to win. Well, the Sarkaz have never been a big force. Victoria is like the strongest country in the whole planet. The only reason they stood a chance was, one, Victoria originally let them in. Two, they had the shard, and therefore could use the Oranginium to boost their powers. But once that's gone, Victoria is, still stronger than them. They also had, I guess, the fracturing of Victoria, right? The Dukes were infighting. They had Dublin. They funded Dublin a little bit. But they all still joined together at the end, so. Now I think very neat is the fact, I think it's pretty explicit. I do have to check.
Have you been doing well lately, Doctor?
But obviously, this is like a reversal. Honestly, I don't know too much about Arthurian legend. But obviously, this is like a reversal of that, where they're putting the sword into the stone instead of taking it out of the stone.
Is the outfit available? Did they release it? I don't think so. Wonder if I can look at it. In the archives, maybe? Sort by brand. Might be Coral Coast. Not sure. We'll find out. No. Was it Epoche? Yes. So here we have a skin of Horn that's very reminiscent of being the lady in the lake, which when it came out, I believe I mentioned, is like, why is she the lady in the lake? That's weird. Like, what does that mean? The lady in the lake being the one who bestows the sword to King Arthur, I guess. Again, I'm not super familiar with Arthurian legend, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens. And in this, we had Horn throw the sword to Siege. Shelby Asher also threw it, but then Horn threw it the second time. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Or maybe they actually did plan this. But it is a very specific outfit to give Horn. And this seems to work with it. Maybe it's just confirmation bias. Yes, Lady of the Lake plays an important role in various stories, notably providing Arthur with the sword Excalibur. So you can't fight with it since there's a stone in it now? Well, yeah, the point was never to fight with it. It's just a normal sword. They keep saying that over and over again. It's just a normal sword. There's nothing special about it. Actually, as a weapon. It's not a weapon. It's just a sword. But combining it with the stone of the sword unleashes its true potential to negate Oranginium stuff. Yeah, it's never about fighting with it. But yeah, I think it's the reversal, I guess, is that King Arthur pulls the sword from the stone to prove that he's the king. At least in some versions, the one I'm familiar with. Siege puts the sword into the stone, effectively doing the same thing. To show that the king is there, to show the Victorians that all is not lost.
And let's go back. Yeah, this fire light, which has people in it for the artwork, but I guess is also the same light that the sword unleashed. We've left the battlefield, and we're going to the airship, it looks like. Honestly, I'm still not sure what the airship's going to be used for, to be honest. Like, they had the shard do this crazy oranginium stuff. What's the airship in comparison, really? They didn't even use it for the battle. Of heroes, slaves of war, captives of blood, you shall not pass. They're using "you shall not pass" twice in this, huh? This operator will be locked out of the battle. Continue anyway? Yeah, that's fine. Which reminds me, I know we upgraded Logos to E1, but did I actually upgrade his skills? Wouldn't be the first time I forgot to do that. I'll have to check. All the eye can see is death. Endless killing, life takes life, fields of corpses soaked in blood. The first Nakzair learned his purpose when he rose from the ashes of battle. I am the end of all things. Penetrate. The incantation pierces the Nakzair like a lance. It happened so fast that it was almost impossible to see its trajectory, as though it had taken effect by the time the word had left his lips. A smooth hole appears in Najalim's chest. There is no change in his expression. Withered branches reach down from his staff, reach into the hole in his torso, and fill in the gap. How could this be? In this battlefield alone, the young Banshee has casted dozens of arts that were not of Sarkaz origin. Ravel, the greatest arts master of Gaul, his life's work made the guns of Gaul's ships mighty, and he was famous in all the nations before the Witch King made his own name known throughout the land. In that war, there was an instant when the ships of Gaul ripped apart the lines of death like a sharp sword, before death swallowed them. Why do I see a shadow of him in your arts?
Your words cannot kill me. The voices that calls to me is louder than your incantations by far.
I can hear it. The dirge of the fallen echoes within you. Thousands of war altars spread across the battlefield. They absorb what life leaves behind when it dies. The culmination of the power stands before Logos, the most powerful Naxahir and the most terrible war altar.
Naxahir's witnessed death. We take in all who were brave, friend or foe. In the endless cycle of life and death, they will be remembered and honored. Cowards deserve only dust. Tell me, my foe, is it a young hero who stands before me, or a despicable traitor?
Your judgment does not interest me. This is not where the power of words lie. Logos once again gathers power in his palm. A second wound appears in Najalim's body, stretching from the shoulder to his chest. The incantation does not dissipate. It fends off the branches trying to close in and prevents the energies of the dead from repairing the Naxahir's body. Shredded cloth rises and falls, covering the new wound and countless old scars.
What is this?
Death may feed the Naxahir, but the Banshee can put death itself to rest. You are no longer the sole master of war, Neshalim.
You're more gifted in incantation than any Banshee I know, Lakura Maline included. A shame, though. Why do you not sing for the dead if you truly mourn them?
Elegy cannot actually put the dead to rest. Neither the living nor the dead will find true rest as long as war continues.
Preposterous. You have vanquished the Damazti and banished the vampire. You, a sovereign of the royal court, have royal court blood on your hands. You dare say it is all because you are avoiding war? Is your rebellion the only reason you stand in my way?
The Najahir floats up in fury. The branches underneath him disintegrate and decay fills the canyon. The Banshee's chanting does not give ground. Born in death, fueled by war and nourishing death. The life of the Naxahir is as war itself. Cities and kingdoms rise and fall, but the fate of the Naxahir never changes. Once a Naxahir clan, tired of the cycle, put down their swords and staves and went into the depths of the wastes far from civilization. Their powers declined rapidly in peace, and they soon became prey for others, fading away in a forgotten corner of the land. There is no other way to ensure the continued existence of the Naxarias. The great rock of war, it sits above our heads on the slopes of time. All we can do is push it with all of our strength. Such cycle has continued for thousands of years, until... We promise a war, Naxarir King. About the future and nothing else. My best students, the young twin royals, I taught them the laws of war. They stood before me and told me, we can end the monotony of war and break the rigid cycle. We can push the rock to the top of the mountain and build a splendid palace with it. This war will be my blaze of glory. It must not end here. That was a long time ago. Now a young banshee stands before me. How could they be so alike?
I fought alongside Lakuramalin for decades. Across cities and plains, we buried the armor of Victoria and the guns of Gaul beneath the walls of Castle together. In the same battle, I promised Teresa to take the heads of thousands of Latanya casters. They were the heroes of Castle, our greatest warriors. Lakura Malene entrusted you with the future of the Banshees. Teresa considered you one of her best students. But you hid at Rhodes Island, sheltered the king of Sarkaz, sneaked into Londinium like a thief, content to sabotage the cracks in the battlefield.
War will not end the suffering of the Sarkaz. All I see is you dragging everyone into the abyss.
So you chose to run. Many years ago, I said to Teresa that war was unavoidable. If it did not come to Londinium, it would come to Casdal. Teresa agreed, but continued to hope that there could be another solution. Her choice led to a new war. Its consequence was the death of the King of Sarkaz. I witnessed her death. All Sarkaz should honor her. But what about you? What can you bring the Sarkaz aside from these meek words? What do you want to bring the Sarkaz?
He points his staff at the ground. The scent of decay rushes out, overpowering the barrier of incantations. Growls. The dirge of a myriad souls grows louder. The power of the incantations is weakening. He feels his fingers, lips and tongue go numb. The fury does not come only from the ancient royal court sovereign before him. It is also coming from his own blood.
I told you.
Into Cariel I witnessed with my own eyes. My death. You and the king both know you cannot kill me. With your help, I have come to an interesting place. It is not all nothingness beyond history. But I continue to gaze at you beyond the veil. You have come so far, little Banshee. You and the Outblood King seek the drop of blood that I left behind. The blood of Dekaz, the pure blood that I coveted. You believe that you can prevent calamity from occurring again by destroying it. It's true. True. Destroy the altar, but a temporary stop to the Kunabula of suffering. Allow the Victorian nitwits to cling to life a bit longer. How boring. Who is the one that's short-sighted and foolish here? You feel it, don't you? You're closely linked to the altar. Right here, right now. Your power is being boosted by it. It was never one drop of blood or a single person call that awakened the Kanabula of suffering. Oranginium is the response to the call of all Sarkaz, living and dead. No exceptions. The murmur of the myriad souls is omnipresent. The lament of the dead will not stop. The Sarkaz are bound by the past from the moment of their birth, never to be freed, and even unto death. You witnessed the myriad souls the first time you sang an elegy. Lakura Maline proudly described your talent to us. This talent was the seed of dissent. You feel pain not just for others, but for yourself as well. You may detest the path I walk, but you could not help but feel sorrow for me. For my sake, I should say. I feel sorrow for how you're trapped by the past. Such arrogance. I should try to kill you again. But instead, I will bless you. The slaughter and the slaughtered, why, they are all part of the cycle. I'm here because of you. Logos does not smell any blood. The incantation easily impales the Sanguinarch's body, causing only a few small ripples. Your blood is still linked to my elegy. Of course, of course. You stand with me, no matter how much you resist. We are all sovereigns of the royal court, after all, the oldest bloodlines of the Sarkaz. I should be glad that you could conquer me, for it proves that you are stronger, and more worthy of carrying the fate of the Sarkaz, leading them on your own path. The Sanguinarch of Vampires laughs, turning around and disappearing into the cave. His silhouette fades away amongst the oranginium crystals, but his voice continues to echo in Logos' ear. Bless you, Athenal, my vanquisher. Assimilate my blood. Utilize my power. Let your hatred of me fuel your battles. You will walk in my place and witness in my dead how far the flames of Sarkaz vengeance will burn. I refuse. Noxic hair vampire, we all hear the same cry. The fate of the Sarkaz is caught in a cycle, and I am no exception. I am part of what I'm fighting. The fury of the Sarkaz burns within my veins and my viscera. Dick. So, like, Duke Cariel's alive, but, like, not alive. Because he's just blood. His, like, existence exists inside, partly inside Logos. Maybe he is still technically trapped outside of time or something as well. Unless he was just being, like, metaphorical there, for lack of a better word. Words turn into fire, descending from the sky to ignite every seed on the earth. Incantations burn at Logos' fingertips, on his lips, in his chest. Oranginium crystals grow furiously around him, and the crying of the dead becomes even louder, ready to accept him and devour him at any time. He no longer rejects the power in his blood. The vampire has guided the flames of the Sarkaz to him, and he has embraced the fire. The abyss lies before us. We can fill it with flesh and burn the remnants with blood. If the only way to bring new life is to burn away all the decay, then I will be both flame and fuel. This is where my blood belongs that I have chosen. Flame consumes the entire canyon. The only things left are the incantations that the young Banshee has written his entire life from a very young age. They surround Logos loyally, his sword and shield. If war is the only way to achieve the dream, and new life can only emerge from death, I shall bring death. I shall welcome death. I shall ignite my past with blood, not for vengeance, but for the day when this fire will burn away what shackles the Sarkaz, to the decay that covers the land. A bone whistle sounds. Logos knows that it is merely the echo of the bone whistle in the valley of the Banshees, the night he set out for Babel. From death comes new life. The death knell rings. For the royal court, that would rot, past and future, and for himself.
Never mind the use of force. Death has its own resting place.
The whispers stop. The rot halts.
Annoying people, annoying business. Let's deal with them ASAP.
And solo this? I mean, if I can, I guess. Although he might need a medic. Of which I didn't really bring one.
Please, trust in me.
Yeah, it's not possible.
I said luck. You ran into me. Need speed to succeed.
What skill are you
Hear
using?
the elegy.
First one, perish.
I hear the elegy.
Which enemies in range below 150% of his attack. That's actually really good.
Period. The reversal of finality.
Sick. Now we can maybe solo it. Okay.
Waiting
What's
for your
jumping
call.
around? Is that part of his talent? Experience chance to deal the 60% arch damage to a random target in range. I guess that might be it. Arch damage equal to the HP of the defeated another random target. I don't know, maybe it is perish actually still. Cool.
Where do you wish to begin?
Either way. I mean, the fact that he is pretty much able to solve this is really impressive. No Shalim. His ribbons flutter, his arts fester, and his will forecasts the brink of war. Devourers, guys.
Alright.
I didn't sell nothing.
Those dogs should have died, but aren't dying.
Moving to designated location. Where do you wish to go? Where do you wish to go? Where do you wish to spend this burn? You needn't bear. Picked out your bait yet? Don't you think that hide your fear?
Pass on your last words?
Ow.
No. Need speed to succeed.
I know what you can't hide your fear. No one can see me.
Can your eyes keep up?
Something.
This is my last suggestion.
Ascalon would stop them, but she didn't really get that in time.
I pass on your last words? No.
Thus I speak.
You push yourself to the limits. Burn all the blood in your body to blow your bone whistle. Just to stop me for a moment. Hey, Fennel. How long can you last and the war continues still? You've gained the Noxahil's respect, and so I shall grant you death.
Oh no. Alright, never mind. Mission accomplished.
A death knell. Logos' bone whistle.
A bone whistle, but for whom? Amiya.
I'm fine, Doctor. I'm just reminded of a lot of things. Logos really conducted himself as Lord of Banshees when we were at Rhodes Island. He said he was no different from Scouter Misery, just another Sarkaz operator who believed in the ideals of Rhodes Island. The day we set out, when Logos put on his royal court garment, I sensed great determination in his eyes, and great sorrow.
The bone whistle has cracked. The bone pin has broken. Blood flows from the corner of his lips.
You can no longer use witchcraft. You push yourself to the limit, burning all the blood in your body to blow your bone whistle. A lot of bees there. Just to stop me for a moment. Afanil, you are a fine warrior.
The Noxahir king spreads his arms wide. The tattered banners draped over him rise up, as though echoing the countless wars the Sarkaz have fought. Rotten flesh and blood fall from his wounds, new and old, nourishing the battlefield. New branches sprout from the soil, repairing the warriors that have been damaged by incantations. The fallen Sudaram rise again.
But you are not fighting one, or a few. There have been no shortage of resolution. There have been no shortage of revolutions amongst the Sarkaz. Oh, the royal court. They have all failed just as Teresa did. Or is the great boulder destined to fall upon the head of the Sarkaz in the abyss again and again? And you've gained Noxahir's respect, and so now I shall grant you death.
He's repeating himself. The Noxahir walks atop the mists of the gay towards the young banshee. Sever. The banshee utters the final incantation, so soft it is almost inaudible. The cutting words become a tangible blade, which he grabs with his hand and cuts off the Noxahir's right arm. Oh snap.
Teresa's swordcraft.
The full blast of the Noxahir King's power hits Logos in the chest. He falls from the cliff. The ground made of oranginium begins to collapse. Logos pictures how the familiar ship treads mountains and rivers, its tracks giving off the same rumbling. He remembers the first time he came to Rose Island and stood shoulder to shoulder on the deck with Teresa. She looked out over Hasdal while he listened to the wailing in the wind. He remembers Mechanist, hunched over fiddling with parts, charting closure for wasting materials, Outcast and Blaze betting on how long it would last, and a robotic arm reaching over to grab his hat. He remembers Ace's bloodied palm by his shield and cup. Scout's palm was a little cooler, about the temperature of his crossbow, and he could tell them apart by shaking their hands and high-fiving. He remembered the doctor and Amia saying goodnight in the corridors when Amia suddenly stopped him to ask if he was ready to go to Londinium. He remembers Dr. Katz had taking Amia's hand and bringing her between them. Teresa is gone. Amia is the new leader of Rhodes Island. Logos keeps falling. Falling until he is completely submerged in cold water. He remembers himself many years ago. Oh wow, look at this place.
You have made your decision.
Yes. I will stay at Rhodes Island and journey the land with the ship.
Teresa is gone. The dream of Babel
lives. Her Highness has named her heir. She is young, but carries a familiar fire in her eyes that belongs only to dreamers. And it's not just for her that I choose to stay. The journey of Her Highness's search hasn't ended, and it should not end like this. I will continue the journey as long as the answer to the future of Sarkaz lies elsewhere. I may not come back to the valley for a long time.
Do you feel sorry because you cannot stay with us?
I will not act as a sovereign of the royal court outside the valley. Many will see my will as the will of the royal court. They may see the banshees as their enemies. I'm afraid I won't be able to help you fend off any storms coming from outside the valley.
If any old friends want to pay us a visit, I'll be sure to give them a warm welcome.
I will not question the former master of the Valley of the Banshees.
My sister and I worry for you in the same way. Take your thoughts with you.
The song of the banshees surrounds their young lord. The watcher becomes warm, like a pair of warm hands that pull the fallen back. Logos opens his eyes. He seems to see his mother and everyone else he holds dear. Aphanil, the most beautiful wave of the valley, is the loveliest song. We must stay and watch you go away. But our blessing will not be with you wherever you go. Or will be with you. Our blessing will be with you wherever you go. Phono R 0. Hang in there, Aphanil. We're with you. We've always been with you. The power of incantation fills Logos to the very ends of his limbs. He opens his lips again. A song filled with power echoes on the river, reflecting the most beautiful wave. All the pursuers are compelled to stop. Is this the mission they were on?
I never thought I would hear the chorus of the banshees here in this distant land. Ever is death accompanied by new life. Are you still trying to sway me with song, young one, here? At the end of all things? My patriarch, there is no more. This is no more than a banshee's incantation. They have not truly joined the battle. Our foe remains only the young banshee. Yes, your injuries are grave. The curse of Aphanil dictates that decay returns to decay. I will not be able to regenerate for some time, but this body will last long enough to see this battle through. But now let me hear his song and that of the banshees.
Neshalim walks to the edge of the cliff without the help of any arts. For an instant he looks like an ordinary old man.
Do you remember Buldrakus T? Yes. You raised him as you would raise your own son.
Oh snap.
Such a talented boy. He would have become a hero of Kasdal. He was my best student. But he left Kasdal and died to a conspiracy in a distant land. But he died a warrior. He lived the meaning of life through war and returned the myriad souls upon his death. After that, where is the next hero of Kasdal?
Salim looks down the cliff. Wind passes through the holes in his body that have not healed, creating sounds without meaning.
The dirt of the myriad souls has grown softer. Logos' bone whistle has temporarily suppressed the link between the blood of the Tikas and Oranginium. This is our chance. Doctor counts it. This time, I won't let it slip from my hands. They've caught up. Are you here too, dear Quisar Shinarg? You are leader, our dear father. You and our leader, our dear father, who will be the one to approach the throne.
Solus reaches for the drop of blood at the top of the altar. Oranginium burns and the myriad souls roar. The powerful witchcraft quickly turns her fingers into charred black crystals. I want to see it so badly. The origin is so near. You! You hid well. It took a long time to find you. Too long. Traitor! How many have you killed on the way here? Not more than I killed when I escaped. The underground labs were full of the dead back then. Our dead. You ruined our leader's plans at the Royal Academy of Sciences. The Victorians almost found out about it because of you. I wish he had never succeeded. Ugh, that's not what you used to say. How dare you act high and mighty when you were one who gave us our orders? That cave outside Londinium, all the research bases, was there any part of it that you weren't in charge of? The leader was in Castle most of the time. You were the one who directed the research. You looked exactly like the leader with your mask on. I had no choice back then. No choice? What about the things you said when you took us to Londinium and had us don this mask? We were mere mercenaries, but we believed in the Confessori's teachings, believed in the first and final path that you preached. Our original sin, the sin that outsiders impose upon us, will be washed away at its coming. Was that all a lie? I wish that was a lie. It wasn't a lie. It was real. All the leader's promises to us were sincere. The same for you, Arknights, even if you have strayed from the path. The leader and the regent are so close to victory. The freedom and the power that have been lost for thousands of years are about to return to the hands of the Sarkaz. Kill me if you want. Go and see the leader, your father. He is waiting for you at the end of the path. They're all waiting for you. You will witness to it for us. For every life that your sword took. Shining removes the guard's mask. She remembers the face. He was one of the first mercenaries that the Confessori brought to Londinium. They knew nothing at first. They were only tasked to excavate the ruins outside the city. The young man had expressed his gratitude to her directly, thanked the Confessori for giving them a safe, well-paid job. It was not long before she stopped hearing those words. The leader of the Confessori came to Londinium. There were no more idle mercenaries drinking and playing games. Everyone put on the same mask and did not speak except when necessary. They had no special bloodline. Arknights should not have been able to control their will so easily, but the part of them that belonged to themselves died before the great dreams of the Confessori. It was she who killed them first. This sin has gone on long enough. The mask cracks. The pieces stab at Shining's palm. She continues her journey to the top.
We've won a lot of times before, Doctor. Here and now, though, we're struggling for our own destiny, our own future. That's the real fight, isn't it?
New hidden front unlocked, yeah. Right when Phono R is actually introduced in the story itself, which is... So is that like... Was that the special mission? How'd they know? Putrefied Pseudoram. The putrefied Pseudoram is the shroud of the fallen, once bloated from gluttony. It now nourishes its insatiable kin. For the Noxahira, consumption and nourishment, greed and devotion are just two sides of the same dreaded coin. What do we need? Not sure, actually. What do we need at this point? We need 60, 55, 45, or 45, 55, 65. I guess we'll just boost them and see what we get. This is pretty good. Wait for the team to restore communications. Latest news. Confessorius guards are fighting alongside strange enemies called Chimeras. Avoid direct engagement. Oof. Oof. Oh, none of these are good. 84 is our best option. Operation failed. What? Had an 80% chance? Get out of here. Latest news. Both the Victorians and Sarkaz armies have gathered at Silver Rock Bluffs and may start a conflict anytime. Knight Errant 104. Oh snap. That's not the other one, but let's see what it is. We received encrypted signal from a Rhodes Island standard beacon. It contains important content that requires physical recovery of the beacon to view. However, we detected Sarkaz troops while en route. Please advise on how we should proceed. Interesting. Hey! The support squad arrived in time and our cooperation went smoothly. But whoever was carrying the island beacon seems to have fled during the fight. We have discovered he's an infected on his way to Londinium. We will now head towards Londinium as we track down the beacon. Fascinating. The Noxahira can employ witchcraft to conjure fog and mire. Watch out for their ambushes when encountering such terrain. Knight Errant 2. Ugh. Based on the clues in the message, we discovered a secret hideout in some ruins, along with the beacon and its a deceased courier who happened to be infected. There were other refugees present who, despite being extremely cautious, did not attack us. We have retrieved the beacon and will investigate the courier's cause of death. Please advise. Tell everyone in the hideout that you come from Rhodes Island. The best chance, so. Wow. The residents seem to know of Rhodes Island and left after helping us. They said the infected we were after was already dead when they came here. According to a rough analysis, the deceased was killed by some sort of Sarkaz witchcraft and cannot be identified. Our team will recover the beacon and press on, deciphering the contents as we go. Latest news. The Iron Duke's troops are leading the Victorian army's efforts against the Sarkaz army. Alright.
And support platform, that's what we were looking for. We've received Phono R0's emergency signal. Shrouded in mist and chased by multiple robed enemies. She must have been attacked by Noxahiris. Why? We're en route to insist. Please advise. Radical attack. Yeah, we'll do radical tactics. We won the direct confrontation with no casualties. The communication band was received a message from Phono R0. Thank you for the support. I am truly relieved Aphanel has friends like you. But what's your special mission? Just to help Logos? Like... The Iron Duke's troops are leading the army's efforts. Okay, nothing new came there. Handle the emergency. We've received a warning from Closure about an incoming catastrophe in our area. Please advise. There's no time to formulate a detailed plan. You must try to cross the catastrophe forecast region right away. With your squad's ample experience and resources, the incoming catastrophe will not pose a threat. We actually have enough for both of them, which is cool. Post haste. Intel squad has cleared emergency event number 2. Your predictions was spot on. That giant orangium cluster emerged from the catastrophe region as soon as the storm hit. Fortunately, we acted swiftly and avoided the area in advance. Unlock after 1418. My goodness. That didn't tell me anything about Phono R. What was their special mission?
Have you been doing well lately, Doctor?
I wish I could get back to... Unless there is a way and I just don't know how to. That takes me to the store at least, okay. I guess that's all that matters, really. A lot of furniture. I actually get a whole background for this, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Probably farm more of this, I guess. Can I farm these? What's that? Yeah, I should probably farm more of those. Or I'm gonna probably run out of time. I am curious where you get more Phono R potentials. Because we got potentials for the other, like, random free guys, right? Yeah. Yeah. Not Phono R. We'll have to read her thing once we finish. He's a robot sent by the Banshees.
Collapse, I once felt alone. The shining and lit
Or like an
shone upon my
Originium
fate,
robot thing
and
sent by the
Rose
Banshees.
Island became my home to return to. I once was shone upon by others, Doctor.
Either way.
So I know profoundly. A beautiful vision and a faith identified.
Well, stop there. We're always just a little short. These episodes are just like a tiny bit short, but we'll stop there.
can continue tomorrow. We might go longer one of these days, depending on how I feel, but not for now, not for now. So, thank you all for watching. And until we meet again, may the sands of time treat you well.